Hello everyone, welcome to the 6.86 patch analysis for Dota 2. This patch is called the Balance of Power, which means hopefully that a lot of heroes have been rebalanced to be slightly, well, everyone to be slightly on the same power level. Now, and I have to admit that the new hero, the Arc Warden, looks pretty damn badass. Look at him, this guy looks incredible. Kind of looks like Ancient Apparition's, much darker cousin. So Arc Warden's abilities, I've never played the hero, so can't explain them too well. But apparently there's Flux, which basically you slow an enemy and do damage to it. If there's no one nearby it, nearby the enemy, then if anyone comes near, then the effect is removed. Magnetic Field, which is kind of like Kinetic Field, but instead of keeping enemies in, it buffs allies who are inside. Spark Wraith, which apparently you summon something that deals damage over time on someone, and Tempest Double, where you create a copy of yourself that has all your abilities off cooldown. So double Midas, double Dagon if you want. The new Zeus Arcana is out. It looks incredible. I think. Look at it. It looks pretty damn amazing actually. So I think this is something to look forward to. And there's a new voice for it. There's an effects if you kill people with his ultimate, and you get all this fancy cloud that he gets tried on. Also, if you buy it before the end of this year, you're gonna get the Exalted set. So woohoo! New comic is up. I'll be looking at this later. There's also the new desert patch. Desert terrain. So I'm not really too into it. It's like it's hit or miss for me. It's nice that we have it, but not really gonna use it that much myself. We're also gonna have the shadows are gonna be slightly more improved. I guess to make Dota look even better than it looks right now. Let's go. Let's keep going. There's also going to be the new hero stats page. I think this is something people have been asking for a long time. Valve promised it some time ago, and now that it's here, so I can't wait to look at it. I think one of the best ways to improve is knowing how you play. I'm not sure how this will compare to Dota buff though. I mean, Dota buff is pretty damn good as it is. Armor is going to be improved. Another thing that we've been looking forward to, that we hoped we'd be getting for a long time. There's a lot of new changes. Basically, the map, the Arcane Ruin is up. There's new items as well as Captain Mode heroes have been added. Um, also, new neutral creep camps. This one is in the bottom Dire off lane. This is in the top Radiant off lane. Well, actually, the top Radiant lane, and we have a lot of heroes have had their skills changed, which we'll get to when we talk about these heroes individually. Now, firstly, Arcane Ruins. This new rune caused all spells to be reduced by 30, cooldowns to be reduced by 30%, and mana cost to be reduced by 50. This is very huge. Firstly, it allows anyone, and I mean, let's be honest, most of the runes will go to the mid lane at the beginning, so anyone in the mid lane will have a huge advantage. Imagine Shadow Fiend with throwing multiple raises with lower cooldown and much reduced mana cost. So that's going to be huge. It lasts for 50 seconds, so it's going to be also useful for late game skirmishes. Like for example, if you have an Ember Spirit using Sleight of Fist every 4.5 seconds, and actually the mana cost won't affect him, but still it's very good. I wonder if this will affect charge abilities. Also, does the cooldown reduction happen if let's say you have 100 seconds left on a spell? If you pick it up, will it start affecting the spell immediately, or do you have to use spells when you actually use the ruin? That's something I'm going to be interested in finding out, because it will be interesting if you use this for something like Black Hole and can reduce the cooldown by 30 seconds for the next 50. Maybe that's a little confusing, but I'm interested to see whether it affects spells that you've already used before you pick up the ruin. Creep's bounty has been increased by 1 gold per normal cycle, so every 7 minutes and a half, creeps grant 1 extra gold. Not really sure that's gonna make too huge of a difference, I guess. Um, we'll have to wait and see what difference this change is gonna make over time, because I'm not sure what it's going to do. Siege damage against heroes is increased from 75% to 85%. All right. Hero-based damage increased from 150 to 180. Basically, what is this hero-based damage? What is HP? Sorry, what does it mean? So, most of the time, a hero's HP is calculated by 150 plus their strength multiplied by 19. Now it's going to be 180 plus their strength multiplied by 19. So basically, everyone just got 30 extra HP this patch, as long as their strength gain and base strength haven't been nerfed. Creeps now arrive slightly closer to the top dire tower and bottom main tower. This is why we added the new pull camps. This is so that the off lanes can pull these into their lane, and maybe so that the creeps will be pushed up a little. Otherwise, the creeps will go to the top dire tower and the bottom main tower, giving advantage to the carries in those lanes and nerfing the off lane. So if you're using the pull camps, you're gonna be okay. If not, then this is generally a nerf to the offlane heroes. Random draft, some info, okay. Centaur, Corsair, and Hellbear now have a stacking magic resistance aura, which is 5 per hero and 20% per unit. These are the small creeps. Dragonhide aura, stackable armor increase from 2 to 3. Dragonhide, I believe, is the big dragon creep. Ancient dragon armor reduced. Oh no, is it? Not sure. Ancient dragon armor reduced by 1. Ancient neutrals now behave the same as normal neutrals and give experience to all the people in the area. So now you can just stand around there. Add a new ability to the Ancient Black Dragon Fireball, where he hurls the fireball in an area, doing 85 damage per second, and for 10 seconds igniting the area. So basically, anyone who walks into it, it's like Macropyre. You walk into it, you take a bit of extra you take 85 damage, which is pretty huge. This is going to be very useful for sieging. The cast range is pretty high, and the cooldown is only 10 seconds, so basically you can keep an area on fire if you get it. Ancient Thunderhive Frenzy is now unit targetable. Okay. Hill Trolls Priest Mana Hour increased from 2 to 3. Man, these Hill Trolls, if you pick them up, they have a huge healing ability and they give you a 3 mana regen aura. This is really good for Doom, but I think most of these buffs to neutrals is a buff to Chen, because now you have a great ability on the Ancient Black Dragon, which also has a stackable aura, and the other neutral creeps have also good useful auras, and you get a 3 mana regen aura as well early on. That's huge. Satyr Banisher's Purge cooldown from 5 to 3 seconds. The Unholy Aura now gives you 6 HP from 4, so that's a 50% increase. The Shockwave distance has also improved from 800 to 1200, another 50% increase. The Shockwave speed has been reduced slightly, but still travels a lot further than before, and the damage has been improved as well. So again, all these buffs that are coming out, I feel like are a buff to Chen in general. Dark Troll has attack range has been reduced and attack damage has been increased. Okay, not too big of a deal. Roshan's base armor has increased by 1, and his base attack time has been increased from 1 to 2. And this basically, I keep forgetting, the higher the base attack, is that a good or bad thing? Oh my god, my mechanics are so bad. Anyway, actually the higher the base attack is worse. Generally that means that it will take him normally with no improvement 2 seconds to do attack, but it went from 1 to 2, but he also has a now 100 increased attack speed. Basically his attacks stay at the same speed, but he's less affected by negative attack speed, which is something that you saw from like Tuskar's Sigil, as well as Enchantress, which we don't see it anyway. But these were abilities that affected Roshan very negatively. Now we won't be seeing them anymore. Okay. Ranked all pick initial pre-picking time reduced from 15 to 5. I don't think that makes much of a difference. Towers no longer have a very minor experience, but I actually noticed that they used to give you very tiny amounts of experience, but now they don't. So, alright. Terrain, I can't go into this because I haven't actually seen it yet. So once I see it, I might be able to have an opinion, because right now it's like huge changes, and I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do. But for now, let's skip and go to what people care about the most. I think usually is the heroes. Alchemist, Grievous Greed Bounty Rune multiplier scales from times 5 to 3, 3, 4, 5, 6. Basically, it means that getting the early bounty rune no longer gives you 500, gives you 300, and also this means that Alchemist players, usually what they do is they take 1 point in Grievous Greed, then they max out the Acid Spray. But now, if you do that, you're not going to get so much out of the bounty rune as before. So Grievous Greed, you might want to have to consider if you really want to put more points into it or not. So I like this nerf. It's technically better later on, but I feel like overall it is a nerf, because now if you're forced to put points in Grievous Greed early, your combat abilities are going to take an even sharper dive than before. And if you don't take in Grievous Greed, then you're not going to get as much from the rules. You're almost getting half as much. Grievous Greed is fixed that it used to give you full gold from buyback. Now it's going to be reduced also by another, how was it, 60% you take? So Alchemist, general nerfs, but I don't know. We're gonna have to wait and see how it affects him. I feel like he's still his how his position in the game has been reduced, but I don't know if he's out of the game completely. Bane movement speed reduced by 5. Bane has been seeing a lot more pickups near the end of the patch, so this is a tiny nerf. I think it's a good thing. We'll see where he goes from here. Batrider HP regen has been improved from 25 to 2, so he gets a lot more HP regen early on. Flame Break mana cost reduced from 140 to 110, 120, 130, 140. Batrider right now, I thought the Agony buff would bring him back into the game, but it hasn't really done that. So time will tell if these will be enough. I like this buff for HP regen. Flame Break also Flame Break generally people take 1 point into early on for the mini stun and later on max it out, so it's good that its mana cost has been reduced. Quite an expensive spell for a guy who doesn't have that much intel. Beastmaster, Wild Axes no longer has unit targeting. Okay. Call of the Wild cooldown is scaled from 40 to 42, 38, 34, 30. So you'll be able to throw out multiple boars and hawks even more once it's maxed out. Level 1's a tiny nerf, and level 2, the not much of a cooldown reduction. Once you hit level 3 and 4, then it gets better. It also means that generally I think Ice Frog's telling people to max out Call of the Wild. Bloodseeker, Blood's right cooldown is scaled from 29, 26, 23, 20 to 30, 25, 20, 15. Bloodseeker, he's pretty much disappeared this patch, hasn't he? I mean, he used to be picked somewhat, but I don't see him neither in pubs nor in competitive. So definitely he needs something to go back into the game. And I think a cooldown on Blood Right, will that be enough? We'll have to tell. Time will tell. Janelle, the movement speed and attack speed reduction increased from 25% to 25, 27, 29, 31%. So Janelle gets slightly better as you max out. Of course, it used to get more damage and lower cooldown anyway, but now also the speed. There's a bigger reduction on movement and attack speed. By the way, this attack speed percentage, or is this supposed to be just base attack speed? Either way, not much of a buff, honestly. I feel like Bounty Hunter you could have just given like 2 agility or something. Brewmaster, Drunken Haze cooldown reduced from 8 to 8765. Okay, so you'll be able to spam this out a lot more in a fight, and if you take a point early on, it's going to be very useful. Primal Split, Dispel Magic to summons increased from 200 to 500. So this guy is now legitimately useful against summoned heroes like, for example, Invokers, Forged Spirits, Warlocks, Golems. We might see Brewmaster picked up against them. The spell magic cooldown also reduced from 6 to 4, so every 4 seconds he can do 500 damage to summoned units. Primal Spell Windwalk cooldown also reduced from 7 to 5. Okay, not really sure that's gonna make much of a difference. Bristle Black, Scepter upgrade. What Nissil Goo is no longer targeted, instead it applies Goo to all enemies around you in 600 AoE. So I'm pretty sure that one thing this is gonna. One thing this is that does this go through Lincoln Sphere? Because the old one you could throw nasal goo at someone with Lincolns and remove it. So does this mean that you can no longer remove Lincoln Sphere with it? Okay, because that's no longer target. So also I think you only get 1 stack of Warpath every time you use it. Nasal goo mana cost reduced from 30 to 25. Cool spray mag damage increased from 400 to 450. So general buffs, mana cost has been reduced for nasal goo, so you spam it out some more, and also cool spray max damage has been increased. Does the goo also apply to Roshan? I wonder. Anyway, good buff. I mean, the nasal goo costs a bit less. You get a bit more quill spray damage, and if you get Aghanim's on him, you can use it on everyone in AoE, which means a good slow as well as good armor reduction. I think this is a pretty damn good thing. Also makes Bristleback just want to charge in a bit more. Broodmother spawn spiraling's damage has been reduced from 75 152 to 5 300 to 70 148 210 to 80, so slightly less damage at all levels. Broodmother, when you see her pick, she's very hit or miss. Sometimes she's completely useless, like in that last fight between EG and VP in the end of the patch, and sometimes she can actually do work. So I don't know if this is where you want to hit her, and I don't know if she needs the hit or not, but alright. Centaur Warrior return damage increased from 30, 42, 58, 66 to 30, 45, 60, 75. So return damage, I mean, he's practically returning almost his entire strength. Well, three quarters plus like, I don't know, 30 or something like that. He's gonna be returning a lot of damage. And Centaur Warrior, I'm glad he's receiving this buff, but I don't know if this is what his problem is. If it's return that's not enough. I mean, I remember return used to do like 40% reflection or something. Still, good buff. I like it, but I don't know if it's gonna be enough. At least the extra damage is at the later levels, which is kind of useful for him because he maxes out the spell a bit later. Chaos Knight, Reality Rift bonus damage increased from 60, 80, 100, 120 to 60, 100, 140, 180. Holy crap. Now people are going to have to really decide whether they want to max out Reality Rift or his critical strike, because I mean you get an extra 60 damage at max level. That's huge. And remember, these attacks, it's usually for like 1.2 seconds, so you can get in a couple of the attacks. That's a pretty good buff, honestly. Chen. Like I said, most of the creep buffs are buffs to Chen, and his base strength has been increased by 3, so that's an extra 57 HP in the beginning of the game. Okay. Penitence mana cost has been reduced from 100 to 70. Penitence is usually the spell that you start taking way later on Chen, and the cooldown, the duration has been increased from 5, 6, 7, 8 to 8 seconds. It's kind of his weakest spell, so increasing its duration and lowering its mana cost isn't gonna the mana cost is not going to make much of an effect. Let's be honest, by the time you get Penitence, you're level 10. 30 mana is not that big of a deal on Chen, but the duration is going to make a difference. I mean, it lasts almost twice as long on level 1. Blink's agility growth increased from 3 to 3.3, so basically every 3 levels you get one extra agility point. So at max you get like, what? An extra, I think 7.5? Is that what you get? You get an extra 3, yeah, you get an extra 7.5, which is nice. Like a bit of which is basically like, what, 1 armor, and 7 damage. Not too big of a deal. Clicks is in a really good spot, by the way. I feel like once people start realizing how much damage he does, he's gonna be picked up a lot. His Clockwork strength increased from 2.7 to 2.9. Again, it's kind of minor. I mean, it's not much of a strength. I mean, you get 2 extra strength every 10 levels. You get 5 by level 25, so it's not a big deal. It's just a tiny buff, that's all. Power cogs now spawn in a circle rather than a rectangle. We'll have to wait and see what this looks like to see if it's a good or bad thing. Looks like it's going to be a better thing. I mean, it helps you guess. I mean, all AoE spells are in a circle, so maybe it'll help you land them. Crystal Nova cooldown reduced from 13 to 12. This is actually pretty big because it's 1 second, but this used to be 15 seconds. Now it's 12. So, 3 seconds cooldown in general over the last 2 patches. Arcane Hour level 4 mana increased from 2.5 to 5. From 2.55 to 3.6 for her allies and herself. So the scaling is 1, 1.5, 2, and then 3. So level 4 has a big jump that I think a lot of people are gonna be interested in taking it now. It used to be your Arcane Hour you leave it level 2 maybe, but now it's like level 4 really has a pretty good buff to it. Dark Seer base intelligence reduced from 27 to 25, so that's a reduction of 26 mana at all levels. And his Ion Shell is now purgeable. Ion Shell is now purgeable. What you could do is, I think this is also kind of a buff to Chen in a way. If you remember what we talked about when we talked about the creeps, and Satyr Banisher's purge cooldown reduced from 5 to 6 seconds. So you pick up Chen, you get a Satyr Banisher, and you just cripple Darkseer. You just purge off his Ion Shell every time you see him. I mean, because I don't think anyone's gonna buy Diffusive late early game just for this. So you can just purge it off. What other spells have purge abilities that you can pick up? Not quite sure. Dazzle Poison Touch mana cost reduced from 100 to 70. That's huge because now it gives Dazzle a viable offensive option. Because right now he's picked purely for his defensive abilities, but Poison Touch's mana cost has been reduced by 30%, and it's a pretty damn sizable damage thing. Shellgrave now takes a tiny bit more to cast. This will make a slight difference in some cases, but in most cases it is going to be relatively the same. Shellgrave mana cost has been increased from 140, 130, 120, 110 to 150 at all levels. Now, before, people used to max Shellgrave up for the extra range and reduced cooldown and mana cost, but now one of the regions is gone. So this is again pointing to giving Dazzle different options. Weave no longer provides 800 flying vision, now provides ground vision of the AoE of the ability for 3 seconds. So basically it's not as good to use on like trees and things like that because you're not going to be able to see much. So this is going to be also another nerf. So he gets 3 nerfs in general and he gets 1 buff. Death Prophet has been removed from Captain's mode due to her redesigns, and Witchcraft, which was her passive ability, has been replaced with a new thing called Spirit Siphon. Basically what you do, it has a short cast range, and if an enemy is within 300 range, but what you do is you steal 20 HP plus a percentage of their max HP up to 3.4 per second, and you slow their movement speed. It lasts for 4 seconds, and apparently it's a charge ability, so you get 1, 2, 3, 4 charge based on its level. And alright, so you can throw it, I guess you can throw it a couple of times to multiple heroes. Well, I'm interested to see how it works. Basically, I think it's useful to help with your ultimate do more damage. I don't really know. I have to see this ability to understand exactly how it works. Her base movement speed has increased from 28 to 310. This is because, of course, she lost her passive, which gave her bonus movement speed. Spirit Crypt Storm cooldown reduced from 8 to 8765 again to compensate for the lack of her passive ability. And Silence cooldown has also been reduced from 15 to 15, 14, 13, 12. Like we said before, just to all this is just to replace for Witchcraft, and the spirit count the same. This is good though. This is big. Her exorcism spawn rate decreased from 1 ghost per 0.1 seconds to 1 every 0.3 seconds. That means before in 1 second you used to get 10 ghosts. Now in 1 second you get 3 ghosts, which is actually a big deal. I mean, you have what, 24 spirits coming out, so that used to take 2.4 seconds, right? Now it takes 7.2 seconds to get all her ghosts out. So you need to use your exorcism early. You're not going to be able to just throw it out in the middle of a fight and expect them all to be out in 2 seconds. No, it's going to take them 7 seconds now to come out. This is actually a big deal. I feel like this is a huge deal. Doom temporarily removed from Captain Mods because his level death has been replaced with Inferno Blade. It's basically as a passive or an autocast ability. You min stun for almost half a second and apply a 4-second burn that deals 40 damage plus a percentage of max damage as magic damage. So that means that it's going to be reduced by magic resistance. The cooldown is pretty low, of 16, 12, 8, 4, and there's very little mana cost. This really actually helps Doom harass quite a lot. I mean, you do a tiny mini stun and you apply 4-second burn. But I don't think it's gonna be better than his other abilities. Scorched Earth stays the same, Devour stays the same, but he loses his level death, which is kind of his weakest ability from before. It says the mini stun stays though. Base attack increased from 1.7 to 2, so he's gonna be attacking even slower. Scorched Earth heal and damage reduced from 12, 23, 34, 45 to 10, 20, 30, 40. And the movement speed has also been reduced from 16 to 12 to 14. Generally, I mean, the Scorched Earth used to be doing 48 at max level, now it does 40, so that is kind of a big deal. And the Doom cooldown also has been increased from 100 to 125. Overall, he's been nerfed in everything, and he's had the new ability. Where does Doom land? He's been removed from Captain modes also. I think Doom is overall weaker. This Infernal Blade doesn't seem like it's as good as level death. And I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how good it is. I don't know. I'm interested in your guys' thoughts about this Doom, the Doom changes. If Infernal Blade, how it affects level death. Dragon Knight, Dragon Blood HP regen from 2, 3, 4, 5 to 3, 6, 9, 12. Holy shit! That's huge. Basically, you get Dragon Blood now. I mean, before, but everyone does max out Breath of Fire, 1 point in stun, max out Dragon Blood. Now maxing out Dragon Blood gives you so much regen. Holy shit! I mean, getting it, if you can put 2 points early on, you get twice as much regen. That's insane. I think this is a big buff. I feel like this is a really big buff, and I think that it's gonna bring him back into the game. I don't know. I'm gonna go on a limb and say Dragon Knight, we're gonna be seeing him a lot more often now. Elder Dragon form AoE increase from 250 to 300, so basically the same as the splash damage. Added Scepter, Drawing adds Scepter. Basically, Her marksmanship now causes her attack to splinter on the target and split into two arrows, affecting two random units in a 375 radius. The splinter arrows deal 50% damage, and they also carry all attack modifiers. It's like Medusa, her split shot, except that when she shoots someone, and from that person, two arrows will pop out. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. I don't know if people will be getting it so much. It does give her some AoE abilities, and also it gives her a bit of farming capability, kind of like a cleave. Hmm, we'll have to wait and see just how good this is. I mean, she does a ton of damage, so even 50% is still a huge amount. Enable Earth Spirit in Captain mode. Intelligence growth reduced from 24 to 21. Boulder Smash stun AoE reduced from 250 to 200 to 160, and Geomantic can now only pull allied heroes when using Scepter. So Earth Spirit received a lot of nerfs entering Captain mode. A lot of people were talking about this hero when he's gonna be in Captain mode. Well, here he is in Captain mode. How good does he look like? I don't know. I've never seen him much in pubs except when he was released in the beginning and everyone was picking him and they had like amazing win rates. Then he got nerfed. No one sees him anymore, and he's getting nerfed now, entering Captain mode. Mm, I have no real opinion of this, so I'm just not gonna talk about Earth Splitter damage we skip from 35% all levels to 30, 40, 50%. So hitting someone with your ultimate at max level, with your level 3 ultimate removes half of their life, just like that. Earth Splitter mana cost also is scaled from 175 to 125, 175 to 225. So level 1 it costs quite a bit less. Level 2 is the same. Level 3, by which point it won't really affect you. So I like this. Those are two good buffs so far. Earth Splitter physical damage combo is no longer reduced by damage block. Well, when you're doing 50% of the guy's mana, sorry, of the guy's HP, I mean, really, damage block is not going to do that much anyway. Fire Emblem no longer give vision. Now, this is something that I feel like Ember Spirit was. I don't know if he was going to get a buff or a nerf or just going to be unchanged. This is interesting. You used to be able to throw fire remnants into Roshan to give you an idea what the enemy is doing there. You can't do that anymore. So that's a nerf. You also, if you're gonna be walking around and you leave a remnant in like the enemy's jungle or something, you can't just go to it anymore because you don't know who's standing right next to it. So this is a pretty interesting nerf that the fire remnants no longer give him vision. It takes away from his utility and his scouting ability, which is definitely not something that I thought Ember Spirit is gonna be losing out on. Enchant cooldown reduced from 30, 25, 20, 15 to 30, 24, 18, 12. Okay, so she does her slow a bit more often, and also this is going to help her if she wants to jungle. Like I said, generally speaking, junglers have been receiving a good amount of buffs lately, and Enchantress is definitely receiving a buff right now. Enigma Eidolon movement speed increased from 250 to 50 to 60 to 60 to 260 to 80, 300, 320. So they move way faster than before, which is useful because now they're better at pushing, they're better at chasing heroes down. It used to be that you make Eidolons, by the time they reach the next creep wave, they're dead. Malphite's damage increased from 25, 40, 55, 70 to 30, 50, 70, 90. So basically it's an increase of 15, 30, 45 and 60 damage total. Not big, not much of a big deal. I think that the max level 60 damage does make a bit of a difference. Black Hole cooldown has been reduced from 200, 190, 180 to 200, 180, 160. Now, a lot of times before I would leave Black Hole, I wouldn't level it up until level maybe 14, past level 1, because the cooldown reduction was not enough. But now the cooldown reduction is a bit bigger, and this also affects him if you buy Octarine Core, because then the cooldown, the effect will be even bigger because the spell's original cooldown is a bit less. So 20 seconds at max level is a big deal. Ooh, Faceless Void. Oh my god. I love this hero and he's been changed. Okay, temporarily removed from Captain mode. Replace backtrack with a new ability, Time Dilation. Now, one of the reasons this backtrack has been removed is because this hero has been nerfed hugely due to Silver Edge. Silver Edge completely broke the hero, made him completely useless. So now that that backtrack has been removed, which was a passive ability, he has a new active ability, which is Time Dilation. What does this do? It applies a debuff to all nearby enemies for 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds. Causes time to be frozen on all enemy abilities, causing their 2 cooldowns to make no progress while they have this debuff. Slows movement and attack speed by 4, 6, 8, 10% for each locked ability. The cooldown is pretty low, with low mana cost. Alright, so let's say you use this on someone. When that person, let's say, okay, you use this on Crystal Maiden. Crystal Maiden um, then uses her Frostbite. Her cooldown for Frostbite will not move for the duration of this debuff. Also, it slows movement and attack speed by 10%. Let's say 10% for each locked ability. Since this doesn't affect passives, I'm gonna assume that Crystal Maiden, who has 3 active abilities, will be slowed by 30% for her movement attack speed. So this is going to be very, very strong against casters, but it's going to be not so effective against someone like example for Huskar. If he's not using his ultimate, then Huskar is going to be generally fine. Low cooldown seems like a really strong ability. Um, I like it. I like it. It definitely adds an element to Faceless Void. Time Walk no longer slows the unit, and that's because Time Walk has become something like Blink. Firstly, now it undoes any damage taken in the last 2 seconds. So the backtrack, which gave him a lot of defensive ability, is now sort of merged into Time Walk, which no longer slows, unfortunately, but it undoes any damage that you take in the last 2 seconds. So a mini time lapse of Weaver. The cooldown has been rescaled to 6 seconds for Time Walk, so it's like Blink Dagger. Sorry, not Blink Dagger, so it's like the Blink for Anti-Mage. This also means that Battle Fury is now more viable for Faceless Void because you can rotate through camps a lot. Time Walk mana cost has been reduced from 90 to 40, so definitely sticking to that more Blink-like ability. The range has been reduced though, from 1.3 at max level to 550 at all levels. Now the question is, will Faceless Void need a Chronosphere? Sorry, what the hell? Need a Blink Dagger to land his Chronosphere? I think he will actually, because with Time Walk range, Time Walk is no longer the initiating ability that it used to be. Time Walk is now a defensive ability, basically a defensive ability and like slight mobility. That's all that you get. Will you be Faceless Void does kind of need a Blink Dagger now. The Time Walk cast point has been reduced as well, so good buffs for Time Walk, and in general, I think the hero is stronger than before, especially with this undoes damage. This is huge. But he does lose his initiation. So where does that make him fall? He's on captain's mode, so we won't be seeing him for some time in high level play. But in low level pubs, I don't know. He might need a Blink Dagger. That's something that people will be thinking about a lot. I'm interested though. I think he's a more interesting hero now in general. And I love Faceless Void. I love the purple dinosaur. Gyrocopter cooldowns first missile damage reduced from 250, 300, 350 to 220, 285, 350. So the it's not much damage reduction. He had to receive a nerf. I don't know. It's like it's meh to me. I am not much to say. Berserk's blood bonus provide linearly from full to until 10 HP rather than stepwise at 7%, and blood magic resistance reduced from 45, 56, 70, 85 to 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, firstly, his max magic resistance before was retardedly high. Let's be honest, it's too much. But now basically what happens is that every 2% HP that you lose, you get 1% extra 1% extra magic resistance at one level, and attack speed I'm not quite sure how it balances out, but generally you'll be getting, it'll be better, um, and you get bonuses pretty good even at high HP. Like if you're at 80% HP, you're gonna get like an extra 20% compared to before, where you only could get like 2 ticks. So generally speaking, I'd say it's a good buff for Huskar. This might sound bad, but it's not so bad. Invoke now starts with level 1 Invoke. This is good. This means that from the beginning of the game you can choose whether you can take a Sunstrike early on. So this is going to be very good. Invoke now has the standard 6, 11, 16 leveling. So basically you have level 1 Invoke and you get level 2 at level 6, level 3 at level 11, level 4 at level 16. Level 25 Invoker now has an attribute bonus ability that grants plus 6 to all stats. This is to make up for his ability point, which is the level 1 Invoke that he used to have. I say he's buffed up by quite a decent amount. I mean, Invoke starting out with Cold Snap or Sunstrike, that's pretty huge. So I really like that this change. I like it a lot. I don't play Invoker, but he's definitely been buffed. Jakiro base damage has increased by 7. Jakiro has fallen off the meta. He used to be pretty popular when his Ice Path was good. Then small nerfs here and there, and he's gone. his base damage has been increased by 7. This makes him better harasser, which is something that he was doing very well with his liquid fire. So this is going to help him with that. I don't think it's enough to bring him back into the game though. He's still a very he's always been tanky. He's always had uh, you know, good damage. So now he's going to have a bit more of that. Will that be enough? I don't know. I don't think so. Chakra Magic cooldown reduction from 2345 to 3456. So basically, you can reduce someone's cooldown by 6 seconds. So I bring Ember Spirit a lot, but he has a 6-second cooldown Sleight of Fist. You cast Chakra Magic, the guy fists 2 times in a row. How cool is that? The duration also lasts from 12 seconds to 15 seconds, so you have longer time to use whatever spell that you want. And Chakra Magic now restores and increases mana capacity by 75, 150, 225, and 300. So for the duration of the buff, you'll have an extra 300 mana total. Okay, I'll have to wait and see how good this is. These two are good buffs by themselves, and gives Keeper of the Light something better to do than just spam his Illuminate all the time. Add Scepters to Kunkka. Basically, Ghost Ship now drags enemies within an AoE. It now starts from where you are rather than behind you and lands in the same position as it would before. Enemies are still able to perform actions just like they are affected by Dro's Gust. So it drags enemies. This actually helps you set up combinations. You can drag in people into a black hole or into a kinetic field, static storm. So well, you can't, not into an actual kinetic field, but into a static storm, then throw in a kinetic field. So it's nice that it can drag people towards it, and it also makes Kunkka able to be played in more support, sort of a support who, if he can farm it, would be very useful. Torrent now gives your team vision over target area immediately upon cast rather than just when triggering. This is going to be very useful in Roshan fights to have vision. Tide brings down autocast ability only trigger if turned on or cast directly on their opponent. This is good because before people used to not be able to last hit so much in a lane. You want to last hit and kill the creeps, but unfortunately the enemy, he's not in range, so you just save it. But now it's like, nope, I can just use it when I want. And the damage bonus has been increased from 20, 35, 50, 65 to 25, 40, 55, 70. So there's a bit more damage, 5 more at all levels. Tiebreaker area also has been rescaled to be slightly less at level 1, but the same at all other levels. No big deal there. Actually, it's been buffed at level 3 and nerfed at level 1. Not much of a difference, honestly. And Ghost Ship mana cost has been reduced from 150, 200, 250 to 125, 175 to 25. This is actually a big deal because Ghost Ship does like a huge ton of damage, like 400 level 1 or something. So reducing the cooldown just makes it a bit more spammable. Kinda scary, honestly. Legion Commander Moment of Courage cooldown has been reduced by 0.1 seconds at level 1, 2, and 3, and at all levels. Okay, I mean, does that make much of a difference? It's not like that. It's not like that 0.1 was going to make that big of a deal. The other two buffs are much bigger. Legion Commander Scepter now makes you and your target immune to all damage unless the source is between the dual participants. Now and Legion Commander Scepter duration is now 44.75, 5.5, and 6.25. So you're going to have 6 seconds where you're immune to damage to anyone except the enemy, and your ally, the person you're fighting, is also immune to all damage. So basically for 6 seconds you guys are just literally going to be in your own world, and whoever wins is going to get the extra 10, 14, 18 damage. It's a pretty big deal. I feel like you can use this to jump on huge targets like Enigma or maybe Tidehunter, or anyone with a huge ultimate that scares you, and you just take them out of the fight for 6 seconds anyway, whether you kill them or the duration finishes. So it's scary. I don't think you're going to want to use this against like a PA, but you're going to definitely want to use this against any initiator. I like this buff a lot. The Moment of Courage thing is bullshit. Life Stealer. Rage attack speed increased from 30, 45, 60, 80 to 50, 60, 70, 80. So basically scales a bit better, and the first level is pretty big because especially Rage is you have to pick Rage or Open Wounds early on. You don't know, but now Rage is better early on. So at least not taking a point in it is gonna be more okay. It gives it almost more attack speed at level 1 than it used to at level 2. Feast damage and lifesteal increase from 4, 5, 6, 7 to an extra 0.5 at all levels. So this is it's not gonna make too much of a difference at max level, but early level it does make him a bit better if you're into that jungling that people do with lifesteal all the time. So yeah, you can jungle a bit better. You attack a bit faster with rage. You steal a bit more. Infest cooldown. This is the biggest buff in my opinion. From 100 seconds to 175.50. The old days used to be 100, 75, 100, then like 70, then 40. This was huge. Why? Because Lifesteal can do this thing called the double infest. You infest an ally, you wait 50 seconds, that ally initiates. Let's say it's a Tide Hunter. He jumps in, he does his ravage, you infest out of him, you go back inside, you infest out again, that's 800 magic damage. This was a very common tactic before when his cooldown was at 40. So, cooldown was increased to 100. Now it's back to 50. Also, it gives him so much more utility. He can infest multiple, infest the creep whenever he needs to for escape, to take on big creep and use it for jungling or whatever. So just this is the huge buff that comes out for lifesteal and dispatch. Line. Oh wait, will we be seeing lifesteal in competitive games? Hmm. I'd say yes. I'd wager that he's a bit more popular now and we might see him a bit. I don't know if it's going to be enough to save him though. I mean, bring him back in, but definitely he's going to have some popular. I want to play him right now. Lion Earth Spike mana cost reduced from 100, 120, 145, 170 to 100, 120, 140, 160. So a bit more balanced. That used to be give. Now it's 20 mana cost increase per level. Before it used to be like 20, 25, 25. So it was a bit confusing, but no, alright. Slightly better. Earth Spike duration increased from. Oh my, I'm not gonna say these numbers. Increased by 0.8 seconds basically at all level. 0.08, sorry, which is not that much. It's not gonna make any difference. Mana drain cooldown reduced from 20, 15, 10, 5 to 16, 12, 8, and 4. The level 1 buff is the biggest because now you can use it a bit more liberally, so it makes his laning a lot more scary than it used to be. So I like the level 1 buff the most. Lone Druid has been removed from Captain Mode and Synergy has been replaced with a new ability for Lone Druid called Savage Roar. Now causes what does Savage Roar do? It causes all enemies at 325 AoE around you or your bear, this is important, to run away with 20% extra movement speed for 1.2, 1.62, and 2.4 seconds towards their fountain. So enemies are going to be retreating for a certain set of time towards their fountain. It has a pretty low cooldown at max level. The mana cost is 50 only, and any entangled unit will not be able to move. So, and Spirit Bear also has this ability, but the cooldown is shared with your ability. So either one of them can trigger it, and like we said, it's going to affect you or your bear. Spirit Bear's damage has been increased from 33 to 35, 45, 55, 65. This is of course from the lack of synergy that was removed. Spirit Bear's movement speed has been increased by 10, which is okay. And the Rabbit's duration has been increased from 10 to 18, 22, 26, 30. Again, because of the synergies gone. It actually doesn't last as long as it used to, but still lasts a good amount of time. Rabbit movement speed has been increased by 5% per level from 5, 10, 15, 20 to 10, 15, 20, 25. This wasn't actually a bonus from the synergy, but it does make up for the lack of duration. True form health bonus increased from 250, 400, 600 to 300, 600, 900. So again, this makes up for the synergy. Actually, you still lose it, but you still lose actually quite a bit of HP in the early levels. Yeah, you do lose quite a lot. I mean, at max level from 6, you only lose 100, but early levels, this could give you 650 with synergy. Now it only gives you 300. That's actually a pretty big nerf. I mean, Lone Druid took a step forward, but he also took a step backward in some things. I don't know. I think he's in almost the exact same spot as he was before. I don't know if this is gonna help him out. I don't know. Luna turn rate has been improved, and Eclipse scepter interval increased from reduced from 0.6 to 0.3. So you're gonna be shooting your laser beams twice as fast. I mean, before if in 1.8 seconds you threw out 3 beams. Now in 1.8 seconds you're gonna be throwing out 6. So it's pretty huge. And the turn rate has been increased from 0.4 to 0.6, so she's gonna turn a bit faster. I don't know. Turn rate seems to be like this forgotten ability that no one cares about. Overall, definitely makes you want to get Scepter more. That's for sure. You're gonna be shooting your laser beams much faster. Lycan wolves and shapeshift no longer grant Lycan wolves and shapeshift no longer grant critical strike. Okay. Lycan wolves now gain cripple at level 2, which has a 20% chance to active, causing it to take 8 damage per second and lose 40 attack speed for 4 seconds. Alright. I wonder if this stacks or not. Shapeshift now grants all units under your control a 40% chance for 1.4, 1.6, 1.8 critical strike. But, does the critical strike affect Lycan? Should affect Lycan, but does Shift say Shapeshift no longer grants critical strike, but then says grants uh, units under your control 40% chance to critical strike? A bit confusing wording. I think Shapeshift stays the same. You can still crit with Lycan, and you also can crit with your wolves. But also you can crit with any unit you control. So that means Necronomicon creeps and Helm of Dominator. These two items are now going to become very good on Lycan. Necronomicon and Helm of Dominator. You dominate a strong creep. What's the strongest creep you can dominate for normal damage? Maybe a Furbolg. You're gonna be hitting pretty hard. Add Scepter for Magnus. Basically, it changes Empower to be an allied to be an aura. It affects range heroes for half the value and causes them to deal splash damage on the target. This actually means that getting a Scepter on Magnus weakens his Empower to a certain degree, because before you used to give, I don't know how much, like 40% extra damage to a ranged hero. Now you give them 20%. It does give them splash ability, but that's not so big. Skewer distance has been increased from 750, 900, 1050, 1200 to 900, 1000, 1100, 1200. So the big change is, of course, level 1 is going to be much more effective than before. So you're going to be able to skewer people out cliffs much easier. The slow has been reduced from 40% to 25, 30, 35, 40. In return, you do get also higher duration. So it's better at higher levels than before, but it's a bit weaker at lower levels from the slow duration. I feel like the distance is the most important. You have a better escape mechanism and also better dragging ability. Medusa, the Mystic Snake no longer increases mana steal per jump. Instead, it steals a certain percentage of the total mana. Total mana, does that mean current or max mana? I think it means max mana. 20% max mana. Now, a ranged creep has 500 mana, so you're going to be stealing 100 from it anyway at level 7. So that's pretty huge. You'll also be stealing 20% of any hero that you catch. 20% of an enemy's mana. Remember that this is a steal, which means that when she gets it back, it's going to affect her, and it's going to give her, more defense for her ability. My boss is right next to me. I bought banana, if you're hungry. Double damage on Meepo no longer affects all his units. This is kind of expected. I mean, haste doesn't affect all of his units, so it's going to be pretty useful for him. I mean, it's a nerf for him, and it's going to be a buff for everyone else in the world who hates Meepo. Mirana attack rate has been increased from 600 to 630. So just like, I think Lena has been seeing the same thing. Her attack range was also improved per patch. Starstorm radius increased from 625 to 650. Not gonna make too much of a difference. I think the attack range buff is bigger. It makes her a better harasser and able to last hit from a safer distance. Sacred Arrow now instantly kills the first unit it hits if it is a non-ancient creep. So that means a lot of times when we shoot an arrow, not only do we miss, but we also hit a creep and we don't even get gold out of it. But now we can hit a creep and say we were farming, if we want to. Morphling, adaptive strike base damage has been increased. Mirana generally gonna stay in the same spot she's in every place. I like her, so I think we're gonna pick her. But I don't think this makes me want to pick her anymore. Morphling, adaptive strike base damage increased from 50, 60, 70, 80 to 100 all levels. This makes the valid nuke to take at early levels. The mana cost has also been reduced from 100 all levels to 190, 80, 70. Although now that the damage is 100 all levels, you kind of don't really want to max it out as much as you used to. Morph rate increased from 24610 to 24816, so basically it doubles every level. And once you're level 3, that's okay, but once you're level 4, that's huge. You get a huge amount of increase of morph. And you shift an interval of 1 rather than 2. Basically, before you used to change 2 strength to 2 agility, or 2 agility to 2 strength. Now you shift 1 agility to 1 strength, or 1 strength to 1 agility. And remember, this is 16 per second. So if you shift agility to strength, it's like every 0.6 of a second, you're going to be getting 1 strength. Hybrid cooldown reduced from 140 to 120. I believe Hybrid is his Aghanim's cool ability. I don't really know what does much except like creates a copy that can use all the basic skills, and the cooldown has been reduced. Base intelligence has increased for that. So yeah, Morphling. Hmm. Morphling used to be very popular on TI2. He was like one of the most picked heroes. Will this continue to affect him? I mean, will he be picked up more now? Not quite sure. I think so. I think he's been buffed significantly in this patch. Then, like I said, base intelligence increased from 1.8 plus 1.95 to 21 plus 2. So basically, she starts out with 3 more intelligence, and she gets relatively the same intelligence. This just makes it looks a bit nicer. Instead of 1.95, you get 2, so it looks better. Doesn't really affect the hero much, except from the starting agility intelligence. Next buff, base intelligence is increased by 4, so that's 4 extra damage, an extra 52 mana early game, all the good stuff. Trained damage increased from 28 to 32. This actually makes a bigger deal. It's not just 4 damage, but this is multiplied the amount that all the trees that you have makes their harass much better. Makes them, and remember you're going to be summoning 5, so that's an extra what 20 damage if they all attack the same person, especially at low levels when people don't have armor. So this is a good. Necrophos base armor has been increased by 1. I don't think this is going to make him be picked anymore. How much armor does he have now? Like 1, 2? So it's a good buff, but I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference. Night Stalker Void slow at night reduced from 4 to 2.53, 3.54 seconds. The first night is at 4 minutes, so by that time you're going to have a level 2, maybe level 3 Void, so that's not going to make too much of a difference, but it is going to be noticeable if you don't level up Void, which I don't think anyone doesn't do. Everyone maxes out Void. So it's a nerf, but it's a very light slap on the wrist that no one's really going to care about. Ogre McGee, base health. Oh no, sorry, Nyx Assassin before that. His impale duration has been increased from 1.275, 1.77, sorry, 1.27, 1.77, 2.27, and 2.77 to 1.6, which is a good 0.3 second stun extra. 2, which is also another good amount increase. 2.4, which now we're falling off, and 2.8. By max level, the stun duration is really not much of an increase, but it does make it look a little better. Instead of 1.27, we have 1.6, and this is going to actually make a difference in the first 2 levels. By level 3, you're not going to have much of a benefit. Spiked Carapace, or as many people call it, Spiked Carapace, cooldown has been reduced from 23, 20, 17, 14 to 22, 18, 14, 10. 4 seconds reduction by max level is pretty a big deal. You can use it multiple times in a fight now, maybe 2, maybe even 3 times in a fight. Also makes it a bit of a hard choice. Do you want max out mana burn or spiked carapace? It's hard choice. Hard choice. I think I'll stick to the max mana burn against int heroes. Maybe get it again if I'm in a lot of fights early on. I get more spiked carapace. Ogre McGee base health regen increased from 2.5 to 3.5. So he basically, in this patch, he basically is carrying a mango compared to before. He has 1 extra HP regen per second. That's going to help him out. He's already a big tanky guy. He has a huge amount of armor, and he already has a huge amount of HP and HP regen. Oracle has been enabled in Captain mode, and I honestly don't know what his spells do, so I'm not even going to talk about them. Are you okay? We broke a chair in the office. I'm sorry. Oracle has been enabled in Captain's mode. Ready to go to the gym? He's been enabled in Captain's mode, and I don't know what his spells do, so I'm not really going to talk about them until actually. I've never used the hero. I don't know what the hero does. So we're going to leave him for now. OD has been reworked. His astral imprisonment has been changed. Before it used to steal intelligence from the enemy hero and banish them. Now it deals damage to an enemy in the area around the target when it ends. Okay. The target itself will take damage, so it's a nuke. If it is an enemy, it deals 75, 150, 225, 300 magic damage. Affects a 400 area. You can only hurt. You are only hurt once by this AOE with Scepter. Okay. No longer. I don't know what that means. You no longer steals intelligence. Can now be targeted on creeps. Okay, so it doesn't steal intelligence. It's basically an AOE nuke that lasts for a couple of. It doesn't tell you how long it lasts actually when it ends. Ah, yeah, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. Then it will do magic damage. The cooldown has been scaled to from 18, 16, 14, 12 to 20, 17, 14, 11. Okay. The cast range has been rescaled as well from 500 all levels to 450, 500, 550, 600. So so you can use it a bit more. Duration has been improved, has been increased to 4 at all levels. So after 4 seconds, there's gonna be a nuke on the enemy. An essence orb, uh, essence aura AOE has been reduced from the 1000 to the standard 900. Okay. An arcane orb now steals intelligence per hit for 40 seconds. Heroes only. So you're gonna want to. So arcane orb now you want to be able to land auto attacks a lot more on the enemy, but it's not the same as it. It's not as good as it used to be. His ultimate now. His intelligence growth had been reduced from 3.3 to 2.7, so he's losing zero point 0.6 intelligence per level. That means by max level he's lost 15 intelligence. Every 10 levels he's losing 10. He's losing 6 intelligence compared to before. That's a pretty big deal actually. So I like Astral Imprisonment being more of a nuke, but I think the hero was kind of fine. Nobody was using him, but I don't know. Astral Imprisonment cooldown has been changed. Do you guys prefer that it's now a nuke over what it used to be or not? Is the question. I think it makes him more viable now to play in the mid lane, but he also loses his former ability to go into to be banished, which used to be something he can use as a sort of an escape mechanism and save allies. So he lost a lot of utility. He gains a nuke. I don't know. PA base intelligence increased from 13 plus 1 to 15 plus 1.4. Okay, so he has an extra 26. She has an extra 26 mana per the beginning, and she also gets an extra zero point 0.4 intelligence. So every 3 levels she gets an extra 1, or you can say every 5 levels she gets an extra 2 intelligence, which is pretty good. Phoenix Sunray turn rate increased from 20 to 25. I always feel like you don't turn fast enough with the Sunray, so thank God. Supernova damage per second increased from 60, 80, 100 to 60, 90, 120. So that's a pretty good big deal at max level, at 20 extra damage. Well, actually, it's magic damage. It's not that big of a deal, but good buffs. I feel the Sunray buff might be a bigger deal. Puck Illusory Orb mana cost reduced from 150 to 80, 100, 120, 140. This is huge. One thing that Puck wasn't picked for was his Illusory Orb mana cost level 1 was so big, 150 mana. Now it's been reduced to half, well, almost half, 80. So we'll be seeing it a lot more. And 80, 100, 120, 140. So you'll be able to spam out a bit more. The cooldown has been increased by 3 seconds, but I feel like that's a very manageable nerf comparing the huge buff he got. When nerf cooldown reduced from 16 to 16, 15, 14, 30, and no longer only silence here, so you'll be able to silence enemy creeps as well. I know how important this is. This is important though, and the reduction in mana cost as well. So Puck, will we see him back in the mid lane? Are we going to see more utility support mid laners compared to the second carry that we have for so long? I hope so. I want to see the guy back. I miss him. Rework Scepter on Pudge. Reduce the cooldown of meat hook to 4 seconds, so you're gonna be amazing hooker. Every 4 seconds you're gonna be hooking someone. And increase the damage from 360 to 475. By the way, this is pure damage, so it's not very gonna be reduced by anything. And dismember damage has been changed. It used to be 75, 125, 175, but now it's 60, 90, 120 plus 30%, 40%, 50% of his strength. Considering that this guy regularly gets like 150 strength. Well, does he? Is that common? He regularly gets a huge amount of strength. He's gonna be doing a lot more damage. Even I think even at beginning levels, he's gonna do more damage. And now it heals you for the damage it does. This used to be the things you get from Aghanim's, but now he gets like a free Aghanim's and a huge hook upgrade. I like it. I mean, the guy has been. This is overall. He's been nerfed. Nerfed. He's been buffed by a big amount, and I like it. The Decrepify no longer slows allies on Pugna. I thought this was patched a long time ago. I think this didn't. I mean, I remember that every patch the Pugna Decrepify changes. Before it used to also amplify the damage allies took, but that was removed. Now it no longer slows allies, so getting better and better and better. So Decrepify, you can just use it on an ally. It's gonna be a really good, escape mechanism for them, assuming the enemy doesn't have a line or a lean on their side. Whew. My God, how many heroes do we have left? I think we're approaching. Yep, we're not that far away. I'm gonna do a hero analysis, and we're gonna do items in a different video. Queen of Pain. Screen of Pain damage has been reduced from 85 175 225 300 to 75 150 225 300. So the damage has been reduced by 10 in level 1 and 2. I think that level 1 nerf is actually going to be noticeable. 85 to 75 is kind of a big deal at early skirmishes. Sonic Wave travel speed reduced from 110 to 900, so it's going to be moving a bit slower. Not too much of a speed reduction, but I think some people who used to be able to be just at the edge of it at the end will now be able to dodge it. So overall, she's been nerfed. Which is expected. She's been too popular for a while. Ricky has the most. I think this guy has the most changes this patch. He's been removed from captain mode, so we're not gonna see him for some time being played by the pros. We worked permanent invisibility, include backstab. Permanent invisibility gives him zero 0.4, 0.6, 0.8, and 1 damage when attacking from behind. I assume this is his agility multiplier. So 1 times his agility when attacking from behind. And the cooldown has been reduced from 6 to 6, 5, 3, 4, and 3. It used to be, I think, like 8, 6, 4, and 2. So the fade time has been reduced. Has been reduced at level 1 and increased at level 3, and no longer grants the HP regen. I like this change because too often Rikimaru before was confusing between you wanna be envy and attack people, but you also wanna keep your HP regen. So now it's like, no, this ability is definitely offensive in nature. It gives you extra damage and it doesn't take too long to fade. Blink Strike is back to being a basic ability without charges. This is how it used to be a long time ago. It used to be, like this: 4-second cooldown plus 80 damage, and mana cost was 50. So this thing has been de-evolved into what it used to be. Added a new ultimate for Ricky: Tricks of the Trade. Okay, Ricky phases out of the world for up to 3, 4, 5, 6. So up to. So this is optional. So it could be less. Attacking every enemy from behind, so that he's gonna get the extra agility damage in a 450 AoE area around him. He attacks once when phasing out, and then once per second while being phased out. Can be cancelled anytime. So I'm guessing that during this time, Ricky cannot auto attack somehow. He basically, what this means, that he phases out of the world, so he's like astral imprisoned in some way for 3, 4, 5 seconds. And every enemy in a 450 area around him will be taking a hit. He attacks once when he's phasing out, and once per second while he's phased out. It has a 90, 80, 75, 70-second cooldown, 75 mana cost. This is interesting. I'm not quite sure how it's gonna work. Can you attack? Here's a question. My biggest concern is, can you attack in Tricks of the Trade? If you can, then this is pretty amazing ultimate. If you can't, then you're gonna be doing damage in a 450 AoE, so around him. Is that gonna? I don't know how it's gonna work. I mean, I understand the ability, but how does this work? The once per phasing out and once per second. It looks like it's gonna be a pretty damn good ability to use with Black Hole and RP. That's all I can think about. Strength though has been reduced by 0.4 per level, so that's pretty major. That's like 10 minus X less strength max level. And agility has been reduced by 0.7. Base armor has been reduced by 1, and smokescreen no longer slows turn rate. So his skills have been revamped, but all of his stats have been reduced, and smokescreen has been nerfed as well. He's not in captain's mode, so we're gonna wait and see how he's gonna affect. But I feel like this patch, we're gonna get a 6.86B very soon, because all of these changes they're pretty huge. Fade Bolt attack damage has reduction increased from 14, 20, 26, 30, 32 to 20, 25, 30, 35. So big buff at the earlier levels. It's not much at the later level, but still it's pretty good. I mean, the attack damage reduction from 14 to 20 at level 1 is pretty good. Allows Rubik to trade much more evenly. But Rubik's relatively the same spot he was in. Fade Bolt slightly better. I would like if Fade Bolt damage went back to what it used to be, but we'll see that later. I think Rubik is. I like him. I think he's a good support, but I don't think that his win rate is gonna improve with this, considering everything else that's happened. Sand King reworked Scepter on Sand King. All right. Doubles Boar Strike cast range. Cast range for Boar Strike is 650, so it becomes 1.3 K, I believe, and applies Caustic Finale Poison to all heroes. So anyone who explodes who's killed in this dish will explode and cause a huge amount of slow on the enemy. No longer grants previous scepter bonuses, which were the reduction of cooldown to his ultimate as well as the extra 2 charges. Base strength has been increased by 3 from 18 to 21, so he has an extra 57 HP. Caustic Finale slow has been increased from 25 to 30. I like it. I mean, Scepter was a good thing on Sand King. A lot of people. Here's the thing about Scepter on Sand King. A lot of people used to say, which is better, Aghanims on Sand King or Veil of Discord? Now it's like, no, they do completely different things. Veil of Discord is for his ultimate, and Scepter's for his burst. Like, I also like that a lot of the Aghanims upgrades that are coming out are not even affecting the ultimate. This gives him Boros Strike and Caustic Finale. I expect next patch Sandstorm regens 10% a second with Aghanims or something like that. I like it. I like it a lot. I get Scepter on Sand King anyway. I'm gonna get it now. It's gonna give him a lot of utility. I feel like you can get this and not get Blink Dagger in a way. But I mean, I'm sure you should get it anyway. Shadow Demon Disruption Illusions from 5, 6, 7, 8 to 6, 8, 10, 12. This is very good against anyone with Radiance. A Naga Siren would be, if you use it against Medusa, her illusions have split shots, so it's all good stuff. So it's going to be very useful for him. I like it. That's a good buff. And also you can use it on your own allies if you have a sniper and give him insane 2 illusions. Add Scepter to Shadow Fiend. I think this is something none of us expect. I didn't think people were expecting a Shadow Fiend upgrade. But what does it do? Requiems of Souls now return to back to Shadow Fiend, dealing 40% of their damage on the way back. So basically, if you guys have played Heroes of the Storm and you have Diablo, he has this ability that also throws that fire and comes back to him. Now Requiem does the same thing, does damage outside and then does damage on the return. And all the damage the Requiem does to heroes on its way back heals you. Aghanims is now I think it's a huge necessity on Shadow Fiend. Does more damage, basically 40% more, and heals you. To basically, you're gonna be healed full life. That's insane. That's insanely good. Of course, the trade-off is he loses 1 armor, so his early game's a bit weaker, and also the Shadow Rays mana cost increased by 15. This is actually a big deal because you're gonna be throwing out 2-3 raises, so it's gonna be like 30, 45 mana cost increase. But I feel overall, I mean, he's buffed because he has an Aghanims upgrade. Shadow Shaman. Shackle's total damage increased from 120, 180, 240, 300 to 120, 200, 280, 360. The extra damage is going to be very noticeable, even at max level. I mean, you get 60 extra damage. Shackles has always been the ability that people don't max out. Hex was always better, but now Hex is not as good. Mass Serpent Ward requires 2 hits to destroy. Used to have 135, 150, 150 HP. That made no sense, but 2 hits means that it's weaker early game. I think two hits was, I mean, 135 damage. I think everyone could do that by level 6 in 2 hits. But at max, it's going to be a big buff because it takes a lot more to destroy them. So 2 hits is going to make a big difference. This here has been buffed pretty significantly. Silencer, Brace Curse of the Silent, which was his Q ability, with a new ability called Arcane Curse. My God, I love when an ability has a novel for a description. Alright, so it targets an area which causes enemies to take damage over time. Alright, so far so good. Same as before. Anytime they cast a spell, the duration of the debuff is increased. If an enemy affected by this debuff is silenced, the debuff will pause. No damage and no time elapses. Okay. So it lasts for 7 seconds and it will do damage. How much damage does it do? It does 14, 21, 28, 35. Alright, so it does, let's say 35 damage for 7 seconds. Every time someone casts a spell, they get an extra 4 seconds of this damage taken. So, you know how before Curse of the Silent, if you use the spell, it would go away. Now, if you use the spell, it's going to last even longer. The cooldown is pretty low, 18, 16, 14, 12. So that makes me think, does it stack? I think not. The mana cost is 75, 95, 115, and 135. So how much damage does this do at level 1? 14 times 7, that's what's going to be 70... That's going to be what, 98 damage at level 1, which is pretty good. And it's improved by 4 every time someone casts it. Effects creep, which is very important. You know how many creeps use spells? Spellcast means the same stuff as Curse of the Silent rules. Okay. Glaives of Wisdom is no longer a unique attack modifier. This means that you can get like lifesteal on Silencer, which was a very common item before. Kinda, I guess. No, I mean, what do you want to use with it? I think Diffusal would be the only thing you want to use with Glaives of on Silencer. Arcane Curse, I like it. I think Curse of the Silent was nobody was taking it. It was too weak, so I'm glad that we have a new ability. And I want to try it out. I want to go to a pub and see what this thing does now. I think he's been buffed pretty good. Glaives of Scarlet Mage. Concussive shot mana cost reduced from 110 to 95. Whatever. Slaughter. Amplified damage now only reveals the target rather than the area around it. This is all. This. We all expected a Slaughter nerf. This is not really what I thought it would be. It only reveals that basically the target himself is what we're gonna see. Instead of the area around, which used to give him like slight AoE around the target, where we used to see, similar to track. But now it's also similar to track that it got nerfed in the same way. You only see the enemy, you don't see what's around him. So that's gonna make it a bit scarier to jump into him. Storm Spirit has been invisible this patch because he was used so often before, so he gets a bit of love. Electric Vortex mana cost from 100, 110, 120, 130 to 85. So that's a pretty big reduction in the max level. Even at starting level, he's going to be able to use Electric Vortex more often. Electric Vortex, by the way, is his W ability, the one that drags into him. We're almost there. Come on, if you've been here this long, it's almost done. Sven, base damage has been increased. Base damage increased by 4. Okay, I think this is a buff just to show us that this hero exists. Godstrike Scepter arrow bounce increased from 50, 75, 100% to 75, 100, 125%. So that's a pretty big deal. Um, I don't feel like it's gonna be. I feel like if you're gonna get items before, you're gonna still get it now. But the effect is gonna be pretty significant. Level 1 goes from 50 to 75. So that's a big increase of 50% effectiveness, basically. Um, I don't know where the hero stands quite now. I've never seen him in a competitive game, so. And I don't know if this scepter upgrade is gonna make much of a difference. If you were gonna get it before, you're gonna get it now anyway. If you weren't gonna get it before, yeah, you might get it more often now. Templar Assassin Refraction is now always visible. Okay. Terrorblade enable Terrorblade in Captain's mode. Terrorblade has been a hero that we've been wanting. He goes in Captain mode, he destroys it, and then he's kicked out of Captain mode the next patch. So now he's enabled, which means that next patch he's gonna be removed from it. How will he do in the meta? He's such a strong push hero that I think he's gonna have a pretty decent effect on the game. I think he's gonna be picked up quite often. Tidehunter added the Scepter to Tidehunter. Causes Gush to become a ground target wave ability that travels for 1800 range. The speed is very high. It has a tiny AoE and the cooldown 7 seconds. So basically, Gush used to be an ability that you target someone, you slow them, and you reduce their armor. Now, instead of targeting a person, you target a small area around them. Is that a big deal? I mean, let's be honest. Against Tidehunter, most enemies are so separated that you're not going to be hitting multiple heroes. What this thing does do is that before you have to target a person, you have to throw it at a person to slow them. But now if you know where a person's walking, you can throw it at that area and you can slow that area before they get there. So you can slow them a bit more. The cooldown, I don't know if it's been changed. I forgot what's the cooldown of Gush because I haven't played the hero in a while. But the ability that this gives, it gives him more chasing ability. I don't think it's going to give him more offensive ability unless you have someone like a Magnus, but like I said, people are not going to group up when they're fighting Tidehunter anyway. Anchor Smash cast time reduced from 0.5 to 0.4. This is good. So it's 20% faster to do. Ravage stun duration rescaled from. Oh my god, it's like it's been nerfed slightly at level 1 by 0.02 of a second and been slightly buffed at later levels, but basically this is just to make it look a bit more linear rather than 2.02 is now 2. That's all. Timbersaw. Oh, so overall Tidehunter, this is a okay buff. This is a very minor change, and the Aghanims on him. Honestly, I don't think getting Aghanims on Tidehunter is better than getting the Blink Dagger Refresher Orb combination that we're seeing. So if you get Aghanims, you're gonna get it like at way later in the game where it makes no difference. So, I don't think that this makes too much of a difference. Timbersaw. Whirling Death debuff duration increased from 7 seconds to 11. This is good. So longer time with less stats. Whirling Death mana cost has been decreased from 70, 80, 90, 100 to 70 at all levels. Alright. And reactive armor duration has been rescaled from 16 to 14, 16, 18, 20. So the armor is gonna last a lot longer. So good buffs on Timbersaw. This guy's been slowly phased out for some reason. I feel like he still does a huge amount of burst damage. So I like that he's been getting some buffs. I haven't played the hero much, but he's been getting good buffs, and this is gonna bring him back into the meta. Tinker, laser cast time improved from 0.53 to 4, 0.4, sorry. So cast. Oh, so he's gonna be able to cast it much faster, and cast range has increased from 550 to 650. By the way, remember that Aghanims on Tinker doubles the laser's cast range. So it used to be 1.1k cast range, now it's 1.3 cast range. So this laser thing, it's a big deal. I feel like, and it also makes him want to go more to the mid lane and brings back the more, like we said, versatile mids. Now with laser being able to cast further away, you're able to cripple more mids like SF. Tiny has been nerfed. Kragixir now triggers on attacks landing rather than on start. What this means was before, when a person started the animation of the attack, there's a chance they'd be stunned. Now, when they land the attack, which means that things like evasion also no longer benefit Tiny as much. When an attack lands, then the guy might be stunned, rather than before when it might be like on the start. How many times I've charged into an enemy with Spirit Breaker, I'm about to start my attack and I'm already stunned. Now it's like, okay, I'll be able to bash him and he bashes me back. So I like this nerf. It makes sense in my head. Chain Protector. Listed mana cost reduced from 100, 110, 120, 130 to 80, 80, 95, 110, 125. So reduced by 20 at level 1 and 10, 15, 10, 5 basically. So good reduction. Overgrowth AoE has been increased from 675 to 800. That's huge AoE. And the Scepter Overgrowth damage and vision has also increased from 700 to 800. So Overgrowth is now really big AoE stuff. I mean, it's going to have a huge map size and effect on it. And let's see. However, I don't know. This is a big change. I mean, 125 extra AoE. Remember, it's in a circle, so it's going to be like extra 250 in total. At least I don't think this is going to make much difference, but the overgrowth change is big enough. I think we'll be seeing Chain Protector a bit more. 12 Forward further reduced from 20, 25, 30, 35 to 15, 20, 25, 30. So slight reduce of 5 per level, but the max attack has been improved from 4 to 6. So before it used to be at max level fervor you would get 140 extra attack speed. Now you get 180, so it's way better than before. At early levels though, it has been nerfed. It used to be actually even at level 1 it's been buffed. You get 90 now, before you used to get 80, but does take more time to stack, which is the problem. Ranged Warlick axe cooldown from 20, 19, 18, 17 to 20, 18, 16, 14. Alright, so 3 seconds at max level. The ranged one's the slow, so alright, gets a bit better. Tusk, a hero that we knew would be nerfed and has been nerfed. Movement speed reduced from 3 by 5, not too big of a deal. Ice Shard damage reduced by from 70, 140, 210, 280 to 60, 120, 180 to 40. So big nerf at max level. Not that much at low level, but does add up. Here's the bigger changes. Snowball can no longer pull units out of Black Hole or Corner Sphere. This is something that I think one of the reasons we haven't seen Void or Enigma. You snowball, you pick up all your allies who are in the black hole or in the chronosphere, and that's it, you're fine. Of course you have to find a way to approach them, but you can just spin and pick them up, like you're a goddamn bus. But now he can't do it. Snowball also, the radius has been reduced, so I like these changes. I like this nerf. I like it. He deserves it. Undying, Tombstone zombies damage has been reduced by 2, not a big deal. Most of the time we care more about their slow than anything. The Tombstone bounty has been increased from 75, 100, 125, 150 to 125, 150, 175, 200. So much bigger bounty has now available on them. But particularly, I mean 50 at all levels basically, but that's still pretty good. But no longer grants experience. I think the extra bounty more than makes up for it. Ursa, Scepter added to Ursa. Allows you to cast your ultimate when disabled and reduces cooldown from 50, 40, 30 to 30, 24, 18 seconds. So basically this is the biggest thing is that actually both of these are big things. One is that you can use your ultimate when you're disabled. Before people can jump, hex stun, silence the guy. I think disabled means just stun though. But you can jump on him, stun him, and if he can't throw out his ultimate in time, he's gonna die very fast. But now you can use it while you're stunned, So they're not going to be able to burst you down as fast because his ultimate reduces damage by like a huge amount, and the cooldown's been reduced as well. You can use it multiple times in the fight, and it's no longer purgeable. So, wait, enrage was his ultimate, so it's no longer purgeable. Vengeful Spirit adds Scepter bonus to Vengeful Spirit. Alright, let's look what this is. Causes you. Oh god, not at the time. Adds Scepter bonus to. Firstly, it causes you to spawn a Vengeance illusions when you die. Okay, the Vengeance illusion deals 50% of your damage and takes 150% of your damage, so it's not the best illusion, but does deal good amount, and is able to use all your abilities, but not items. The Vengeance illusion lasts until she revives. I'm sure that until she revives or until it's actually killed. So basically, oh, and still you still get the old bonuses from the swap. So basically, if you kill VS, she's still gonna stay alive, and she makes an illusion who's able to throw out the stun, throw out the wave of terror, does the and gives the bonus aura damage. So, wow, honestly, pretty damn good item. I mean, I think Scepter is a huge core in VS now. No matter what role you play, Scepter is an amazing item on Vengeful Spirit. Venomous Gale cooldown reduced from 22 to 21, 20, 19, 18. Okay. No real change. Stoneform AoE increased by 10. No big change. Warlock base strength increased by 4. This is, like we said, this is pretty good. This is good amount of HP. It's let's see, 38 times 2. That is 76 extra HP at level 1. That's huge. And the shower word duration increased by 1 second. I don't know if that's much of a big deal, but the extra strength is a big deal. It's a very big deal. The guy is way more tanky at early levels. Weaver, my favorite hero in Dota by far. Base damage increased by 3. This is good because his base damage is actually pretty good already. Extra damage is good, and also goes to Geminate attack, which means you do an extra 6 damage when you hit with Geminate. Swarm Beetles has improved from 1.4, 1 and a quarter, 1.1, and 0.95 to 1 and a quarter, 1.1, 0.95, and 0.8. So, Swarm, the last patch had their mana cost reduced, their cooldown reduced, and now they attack a bit faster. This is particularly important in level 1 because level 1 is where we're going to be keeping it the most. I'll have to do a lot of calculations to figure out just how good this is. But at max level, I think you get an extra two attacks. No, at max level you get an extra 3 attacks compared to before because it takes you 0.15 second less to attack and lasts for 20 seconds. So in 10 seconds you get an extra 1.5, and in 20 seconds you're gonna get an extra 3 attacks off. So yeah, actually in general I think that's what you're gonna get in every level. So in every level you get an extra 3 hits. Okay. Wind Ranger. Oh god, this girl has the most annoying laugh in Dota. Shackle Shot is now disjointable, which is nice. How many times have we seen these global bullshit shackles? Shackle Shot speed has been increased by quite a bit, but I mean, so it was already pretty damn fast. Shackle Shot angle has been reduced. This is well needed. We've all seen all these angles where she shackles you to a tree that's like completely on the other side of the map. So I'm glad this has been reduced. And Power Shot speed no longer is decreased as it goes through speed. So actually, 2 nerfs, 2 buffs. Alright, I think the hero stays. I thought the hero would be different. I think we all read the fake patch notes. I thought the fake patch notes were better nerfs, but alright. I think she stays literally exactly where she is in the game right now. Shack Shot is going to be a bit harder to land, that's about it. Winter Wyvern, temporarily removed from Captain's mode. Cold Embrace cooldown has been increased. Used to be 17, 16, 15, 14. Now it's 24, 21, 18, 15. So max level is relatively the same, but early levels is a big difference. Arctic Burn slow has been reduced. It used to be 25, 30, 35, 40. Now it's 19, 26, 33, 40. The early levels make him much weaker at harassing. Here's the big one, and it's even highlighted. Winter's Curse primary and secondary units are now immune to all damage from their enemy. So you use a Winter Curse on the enemy, you can't kill that person anymore. They'll only take damage from their allies. Winter's Curse secondary units now have 50 attack speed bonus, so they're going to be bashing their friend much faster. The AoE has been increased by quite a bit. The cooldown has also been increased by about 10 seconds per level. The duration has been increased by a huge amount. 2.53, 3.5 to 3.25, 4, 4.75. So at max level it lasts more than a second longer. and fixed Winter Skirt lingering if the primary target dies. The biggest thing here is that I think that Winter Wyvern, his basic abilities have been nerfed, Winter Blast has been left unchanged, but Winter Curse in general I think is actually stronger than before. Firstly, they may be immune to damage, but that's not doesn't mean that you can't set it up. If you can put you use the Winter's Curse, you put Enigma in the middle of there. The moment that guy is about to die, well, actually no, you have to wait for them to die. That's the scary part. Or the moment the duration is about to end, you just throw out that black hole. You throw out that, or you throw out an RP, throw out a Tide Hunter's ultimate, throw out Macro Pyre, whatever it is, and that's it. You can just straight away get a huge initiation. It's kind of like Naga Siren's ultimate, except that it also groups them up. I think Winter's Curse is better than before. In a weird way, I think it's better than before. Maldic mana cost reduced from 120 to 105, 110, 115, 120, and the cast range is increased from 525 to 575. So Maldic's a lot better than before. Okay. Wraith King Vampiric Arrow cannot be toggled to make lifesteal for heroes only. This is one of the reasons we never saw Wraith King picking it up in lane, because it pushed the lane too much, and now it's not gonna do that. So good buff on him, and that's about it for the hero section of the game.